Okay, let's see if we can go over the rest of the parameters here. So in dual mono mode, we have a different structure. Before, when we had the delay lines in series affecting each other with a single feedback, we now have the delays in parallel, each one having their own feedback. But the important thing to note is that they are no longer affecting each other. The effect of each LFO modulating the respective chorus units is independent. So this is sort of like having two oscillators that are having their pitch modulated by an LFO. You can easily hear the summed version of that. You can hear one oscillator go up while the other goes down, and that's what's happening here. You're not getting any sort of like phase cancellation that you would in series. So let's listen to that, and of course turn up the feedback for chorus unit 2 or delay line 2. Now, can you hear that? You can hear one going up while the other is going down, and I can even take down the rate. If anything, it's easier to hear while it's going faster. So you could hear, again, one rising as the other is falling. You hear them kind of bouncing back and forth. Now, we could also switch our modes to stereo. And in this case, one pitch shifted sound will come out of the left speaker and the other will come out of the right speaker, giving a more complex stereo image, or giving any stereo image at all. This is the first setting that you actually get any kind of width happening. And we could even check that out in a vector scope. See how wide it is now. Whereas before, in any other mode, we would have a mono signal. So let's see what else we have here. We can, of course, affect the depth of the LFOs with a control source. So we could use like JS plus Y. And you can set the amount for each chorus unit individually, but both chorus units are using the same source. You can see it says use LFO1 depth source. You cannot go past this parameter. So you're essentially literally modulating this parameter. You're not modulating beyond this parameter. For instance, like the LFO rate of the regular LFOs, like you could go up to the max frequency, but then you could use an LFO source, or sorry, an alternate modulation source to go past this value. You cannot do that with this value. To demonstrate that, I guess I could just show you. So we can go full modulation depth for both, and I'll hit a key and I'll move JS plus Y. And it's not changing the modulation depth. But if I go to 0, and then I hit a key, and you could hear halfway through that I moved the joystick. Let's now check out the how we can change LFO rate, which is pretty simple. Also, something I never talked about is you can unlock the rates of the LFOs to have them travel at individual frequencies. So that again could lend itself to a more complex stereo image. And I would need to have the depth up. So having them travel at different rates is important. That also works with MIDI tempo sync. You could set the rates individually. And of course, we can modulate the rates with a control source. Can't do it, unfortunately, with tempo sync. And that's the way the regular LFOs work in the Kronos as well, unlike the individual engines. But this is what this sounds like. It would be more apparent if I modulated them by a greater amount. That's a little too close. Let's have these be a bit different. All right. There we are. Nice. And then the last parameter that I want to go over is that we can use negative wetness on this, and what that does is it just phase flips the wet output. So if we are at 50/50 dry wet, let me actually take down the feedback for both of these. I'll also take down the mod depth, and I'll even take down the delay time for each of them. And then I want to increase my sustain. And that sounds like this. Let's look at the frequency analysis. So even though we are at 0 time with our manual controls, there is still a slight delay. And that's usual for chorus units. There's always like a small amount of delay, so that delay can be modulated. Now, if I'm using negative wetness, what I'm doing is I'm flipping the peaks and troughs here. So right now I have a dip at, what is this, right above 1.6K. If I go to negative wet, dry wet 50/50, that 1.6K, or that what was a notch is now going to be a peak. And that's just nice to have a different flavor of chorusing going on. So that's everything that there is to know about this bi-chorus unit. This unfortunately didn't have any real sound design, but this is just a nice walkthrough of this pretty complex chorus module. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.